What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Geekdom Gamecast. We episode 130, not 130, 32, right, Travis Moody? Brother Moody,
Jesus,
my co-host.
we're off
What's
to
up?
a great start.
Now that we're going weekly, it's 130.
132, you know.
It's like Goldberg's undefeated streak.
2020 has been lasting for 14 months already, so it only makes sense that we've been recording this podcast for 132 episodes since November. Brother Moody, what's up, sir? How's it going?
What's up? Hey, in the galaxy far away.
You're in the Yavin 4, the base. We're already out in space right here, so hopefully you catch up with me later. We got a new guest on the podcast, but Jivo reunion here. Dave Beaudrie, what's up, sir?
Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm making sure I'm representing proper today.
Yeah, he's taking time away from kicking our asses on all the fighting games that we played for Jivo. And
well, thanks to COVID, I am the undisputed champion of Jivo because everything else got forfeited. So I won by default. And let's see. By the time Jivo starts up again, I think I'll have a championship reign like longer than Bailey's.
Yeah, it's a record that won't be able to be beat until the next pandemic happens. So enjoy it, sir.
He's the intramural champion, the self-proclaimed.
Intramural my ass. I am the linear champion, the first one ever, and I'm still waiting for my belt, Travis. Thank you very much.
I think it's a glass trophy mug. Get it right.
I'll use that as a weapon.
There's going to be a buckle on it with a little bowl full of sushi because all the Japanese food that we ate that day. So
I didn't put Skittles in that shit. I'd stay away from the sushi.
And of course, we couldn't have this Star Wars episode without Patrick Obloy. What's up, sir? How's it going?
Good.
From coming from the Empire himself. I brain farted on the name of the Legion, the troop. Was it the 501st?
Yeah, the 501st.
Right, the 501st. We were doing a toy kind of mood before this. I won't be on it because it was an exclusive podcast episode for just me and Travis. Like we got to witness a toy kind of mood episode on the highest levels. But now we're at the Gamecast and we're going to be talking about the revival of Lucasfilm games this week. But first, since we have the Jivo man himself, the undisputed champion of the inaugural tournament, we got to talk about these Mortal Kombat stills that we saw from the movie. So New Line released some images finally, our first look images of all the characters, well, most of the characters that are going to be in the Mortal Kombat movie. And what do you guys think?
I mean, first off, the hilarious thing about Jivo is, for those that don't know, is I'm actually horrible at fighting games and shooting games, and I love playing them, but I'm awful. And basically I lucked my way into the finals and then won just because a bunch of people were dying and we couldn't continue it. So yay me, fail upwards, folks. That is the lesson.
That makes me double bad. I lost to you.
You did. So what does that say about you, Travis? I'm just going to let you
I'm
ruinate
just the host.
on that.
I'm not a client.
All right.
Well, we know how dangerous people can be when they have nothing to lose. So
Travis was the promoter that planned on giving himself the belt, and
I was the Gamecast host that fucking died. Was like the worst one that day. So
you did it with style, though, Mike. You did it with style.
Yeah, thank you.
But so
you lost to like buyers.
Yeah, it was bad.
So speaking of bad, let's talk about this Mortal Kombat thing.
Oh shit!
Oh
Wow.
Look, I really want to be optimistic. I really hope the movie is good. There's a couple big things working against it. First, the positive, I'm happy that it at least has an R rating, which takes off some of the creative handcuffs. But that's not enough to really get me excited for it. There's a couple of problems. Is one, the director's just very inexperienced. I believe he's done like commercials and music videos and stuff, and that's always a bit of a red flag when there's not like really a narrative history. And when you put somebody who has more of a music video commercial mentality behind a fight film, those fights tend to be very incomprehensible with a lot of quick cuts, real close. Like, let's shake the camera to make the audience feel the action. And like for something like Mortal Kombat, you need fights like something out of John Wick. And I don't think the people that are in place, and I'm not familiar with, I haven't looked to see who the stunt guys were on it, but as far as just directorially, I think that's concerning. I think narratively, it's, they're kind of going with the route like, we're introducing our own unique character that will go into this world. And it's like, oh God, it seems like they're just going by the normal playbook, and the normal playbook is very frequently not good. So I hope I'm wrong. I really hope it's good. The images that I've seen made me think of the Mortal Kombat web series from years ago, which was great for what it was, but it wasn't a multi-million-dollar feature film. Mm-hmm. So for those to be on the same playing field is problematic to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Patrick, you want to tell the audience how you found out about this whole like release of PR, because it's kind of how I found out. So
yeah, so I was just rolling on Twitter, just like I just open up literally Twitter feed off the side, you see trending Steve Harvey, and I'm like, why is Steve Harvey trending? So I click on this, and all I see is pictures of Steve Harvey next to the promotional or whatever pictures of Jax, and it literally looks like they ripped Cyborg's arms from DC's Justice League right off of him and put it on Steve Harvey and just told him to fight. Like, that's what it looks like.
Well, they're pissed at Ray Fisher right now, so maybe that's what they did. They're just like, we're going to take these from you.
I mean,
that's a whole nother subject.
Moody, you were saying this dude is you saw this guy on Supergirl, was it?
They replaced Victor Stone with Jimmy Olsen as part of the Justice League now. So yeah,
is that who that is from Supergirl?
Brooks, from Supergirl, CW Supergirl. He's a pretty good actor, pretty good.
He looks like he beefed up.
A menacing Steve Harvey in that one shot. So hopefully we can see more of him. The uniform, the duds are good. They're accurate to the stuff. Dave, how can this movie be bad? It's supposed to be bad. It's Mortal Kombat. Like
the first one, though, even with a PG-13 rating, the first one at least was fun and kind of at least nailed some of the, I'm worried that, again, when you have something like Mortal Kombat, there's a couple things that really need to go right. One of them is the fights, and the fights, you need to be able to actually see them, and you need to be able to tell a story with them for them to actually have any kind of meaning. They can do that in things like John Wick or The Raid or stuff like that. Right. They don't do that in things like, I might get outvoted on this, but on like the second and third Bourne films, you go through all this trouble of teaching Matt Damon Kali, and then it's so like tight in and quick cut and shit, you can't even see what he's doing. So what's the point? And my concern is, having not seen a trailer yet, my concern is with the background of the director and just how these things very frequently go, is that's what we're going to get, is that it's going to be narratively kind of messy. And then the fights, which would be even the saving grace, aren't even really going to be that cognizant to where you can't even necessarily see what's going on. That's the concern. It's not a prediction.
Right. Well, Scorpion is played by the Silver Samurai, Haruki Sanada. He's in everything. He's
Love
awesome.
That dude. I think
he's awesome. Cool. Yeah.
So many samurai and Yakuza type movies. He's a fantastic dramatic actor as well. And then I don't know the name, but the dude from Star Trek Beyond, he was also in The Raid. He's playing Sub-Zero, John something. Yeah, I don't want to butcher his name. I don't know if you got it in front of you, Mike.
I'm bad on names too. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too many famous actors in this. It's Mortal Kombat.
But I mean, the casting, that casting is great. So there's things to be excited about. But I still remember when they took the gentleman, the star of The Raid, whose name I'm now blanking on, and they put him in that movie with Mark Wahlberg, and like not 8 Mile. It was 8 something.
22 miles, some shit like that.
It was something. Yeah, it was with Mark Wahlberg and Ronda.
Yeah,
it was Mark Wahlberg and Ronda Rousey, and like they gave him fight scenes where you couldn't see what he was doing because again they were quick cutting, editing him, and like doing all this shit. It's like just put the camera back and let the dude do what he does. Yeah. If they can do that with Mortal Kombat, it'll be a great time. But I don't know.
I mean, honestly, as long as it doesn't go down the route of Street Fighter, I'm okay, because that was like a terrible movie. It was like, hey, look, a game about fighting matches just like Mortal Kombat, but then they go, let's just put in like some weird mystery thing in it, and they're all like not even really fighting. I'm like, that was terrible.
Guile's the lead, even though like Van Damme's not even American, and also like Guile was never the lead of Street Fighter. It should be Ryu. Joe Taslim is the gentleman from The Raid that's in this as Sub-Zero. He's great. He's really great.
Absolutely,
the parts look great. I mean, I'm excited just by the promotional pictures. To me, looked solid. I'm by the shots, how they're done, the look of them and everything. and you're right. Motion is more of what's going to really sell it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so far, I'm optimistic. But you're right. There could be bad things.
You know what? Like the thing about the first Mortal Kombat movie is that even though it's a movie, like they just stuck to the look of the characters, and every character looked like their video game ass character. They didn't try to make it grounded or anything.
I loved it.
And that had a charm to it. And hopefully, we're just seeing preliminary images of people like not in their final suits or whatever. But they seem like they're trying to go for more of like a cinematic feel. And I don't know. I'm with Dave. Like that's a double-edged sword. That could be like that's a big gamble, because if it's like too serious, if it's what is it, the Street Fighter, what's her name, Chun-Li movie that they try to release.
Yeah, the Chun-Li
Oh
story.
God.
Yeah, like if they try to do that shit, it's like I don't know. Like
Well, it's a fine line they have to walk, and it's actually even more challenging now than it is when the original Mortal Kombat came out, because now the Mortal Kombat games have such good fucking story campaigns behind them that like now that's what the movie's going to be held up to. Mm-hmm. Whereas before, that was all kind of, unless you were reading books and other stuff connected to the lore, like that was just kind of all in your own head. And then, the movie had more kind of leeway to do their own thing. But now, like, you're competing with the games themselves in the ability to tell a Mortal Kombat story. Yep. And so I think that also raises the bar for what is expected. And it's a tough bar to clear. It's a really tough bar to clear. Again, doesn't mean that it can't happen, but you really need the right team in place. And again, time will tell.
Well, this is where I think they have the right team, because while they have this specific director doing a lot of the action from commercials and videos, I think they want a high visual appeal, and that's why he was brought on. But the backbone of this is Ed Boon and James Wan. James Wan, who did Aquaman and a bunch of other cool horror type movies. Pretty good stuff. So he's producing it, and then Ed Boon is going to be very involved in this, unlike some of the other stuff that they did with the web series Redemption, I think it was.
Yes, to say, isn't he more involved than he was with the original movies too? The first one,
probably at this point, because it's a bigger franchise now than it even was.
Yeah, MK11 was huge, so it still is.
That's interesting.
Who's the choreographer? That's another big tell.
I can't find that on IMDb. I was going to see.
I was looking too. Yeah,
I was going to see if it was 1187, the guys that did John Wick and Birds of Prey and stuff. But I can't see. They don't have stunt choreography and stuff. It's still like really underrated. Those guys are like making it more of a household name slowly.
Yeah.
And surely, but
stuff.
Yeah, they helped out on Atomic Blonde as well. And I mean, that movie had some issues, but man, the fight scenes were great.
Right.
And they yeah, and they know how to make people look good. Like Charlize Theron was a badass in it. Obviously Keanu and John Wick. Like that's how you do it. If you're doing a fight film, then like you gotta not only know how to choreograph it, you gotta know how to shoot it. And that's where again, editing can become your worst enemy there, because you just get too indulgent in the camera moves and trying to do pretty shots instead of telling a story with it. Who are these people? Why are they fighting? Why should we care?
Yep. Well, that's enough about movies, though. We don't talk about fucking movies on this podcast. We're in space. Let's talk about space, and let's talk about video games. Where we're really here. Why we're really here. I don't think Mortal Kombat's going to be the movie that like makes video game movies good. So let's just concentrate on the video games. Well, instead of movies based on video games, let's talk about video games based on movies. We had a huge week this week, gentlemen. Lucasfilm Games is back. They used to be LucasArts Entertainment. Before that, up until 1990, they were Lucasfilm Games. And now it's it's vaguely back as a branding thing. They're not really a publisher, not really a studio. It's just going to be the little tag that they put on all these new games based on Indiana Jones and Star Wars and whatever Lucasfilm properties. Howard the Duck? I don't know. But that was announced on Monday. And how do you feel, gentlemen? Were you guys big LucasArts games fans? Because I was, and my favorite games weren't the Star Wars games. They were actually the adventure games back in the 90s. So
that's the amusing part, is the most popular LucasArts games weren't Star Wars games.
Yep. So they're back. And a couple days later, we got some reveals, big reveals. The first reveal was on Tuesday. Bethesda and Machine Games are making an Indiana Jones video game. Machine Games were the studio that worked on Wolfenstein, The New Order, Shadow Colossus, all that stuff. Shadow of the Colossus? New Colossus.
You were close.
They both have new in the name. That's kind of messed up. They don't. Why do you do that to us? Most recently, Youngblood, but that was kind of like a side group of developers.
Let's not talk about Youngblood.
Yeah, that was very disappointing. That was a very disappointing game. I was really hyped for that game. That trailer was dope. Patrick? What is an Indiana Jones game in the wake of the Tomb Raiders and the Uncharted and stuff these days? What are they going to do? Machine Games, famously a first-person studio developer for like one big franchise underneath them. Now, with Todd Howard's help, they're doing a Indiana Jones game. What the hell is it going to be? What do you think?
That's a tough one because, yeah, like the studio's not like known for their third-person games. So, and I don't think you could do Indiana Jones first person. That would be really bizarre.
That would suck.
Yeah, it would really suck. It would honestly, because that game lends itself, like you said, like Tomb Raider style games. It lends itself to a third person view. So and
it's like Tomb Raider
my question
and
kind of comes:
Uncharted.
what engine will they use? That's
yeah.
right. I actually immediately went to when I first heard that Bethesda's doing it, because Creation Engine is garbage and needs to end and die a horrible death. It's done. Like they need to start over. And the team that's working on this now is the one that's did, like you said, Wolfenstein, which was ID Tech Engine. It was 6 or it was the last one.
Which is a first-person shooter engine.
Yeah, so I don't know where they can go with that. Like, and it's gonna really depend on the engine for me. But I guess if you take the one Wolfenstein Wolfenstein game out of the equation, then it was actually solid work. Storylines were decent. So
yeah, and they have a history of doing games with Nazis are the enemies, so that's perfect for Indiana Jones.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
That was the criteria. Like, who's great at punching Nazis? All right, let's go with the Wolfenstein people.
Dave, as a performer and actor yourself, what do you think they're going to do about Harrison Ford, about Indiana Jones himself? Are they doing a look-alike? Is that going to feel weird? How do you think that's creatively? How would you expect them to handle that?
I mean, I agree that doing an Indiana Jones game first person is odd. Like, it's like with a James Bond game, you can kind of do that and have done that because it's kind of the whole thing of like people want to be James Bond, right? Mm-hmm. It's like people don't want to really be Indiana Jones. They want to hang out with Indiana Jones. Like, so I definitely think third person is the way to go with that. I think it's a tough hill to climb if you do that first person. And then as far as, I mean, I definitely think they use his likeness, but I mean, I'm assuming that they would get a competent voice actor that would then be able to do the.
What do you think of the Han Solo sound-alike in Battlefront? Definitely not that guy, right?
It was hit and miss. It wasn't the worst I've ever heard. We were just talking Mortal Kombat. I would say Terminator in Mortal Kombat 11 is worse than Han was in Battlefront. So I think you can get a good voice actor that can give you that energy, and then it's just Harrison's likeness. And I'm assuming it's going to be a younger Indiana Jones and not set in present.
Well, there's the movie coming. Do they do the whole movie tie-in?
I hope not, because that almost immediately means the game will suck.
Well, so if they want your voices, and this is funny because you guys mentioned the Han Solo issue in Battlefront. This is like the second time they could have used an actual actor who sounds like Harrison Ford, Anthony Ian Gruber. They could use him Solo, and they didn't. The dude has played literally young Harrison Ford in movies, and they skipped. And now we're like, oh, let's use his voice. No, it's not. Let's go somewhere else.
You never know why, though. Like, you never know what maybe they tried and he wasn't available, or it was out of budget, or like, you never really know what the machinations were on that. So I don't really want to necessarily judge.
I don't think it's a budget issue. He's not like a high profile anything.
You never know though, man. Sometimes in these negotiations though, like an agent will be like, oh, you're doing an Indiana Jones. Oh, well, that's going to be like, it's just shit happens. So you don't know really who they were targeting or who they didn't target. So I'm reluctant to blame them on that. But the fact that Bethesda's behind it doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence. Like, I really give no shits about Bethesda since the absolute travesty of Fallout 76. So, I mean, I don't really care about Todd Howard, like, putting Easter eggs behind him or saying like, oh, it's going to work, folks. It's going to work.
You know what would be really solid though is if BJ Blazkowicz just made a cameo somewhere just randomly for no reason.
Oh my god, that would be great. Mecha Hitler versus Indiana Jones.
I mean, I'm excited for the idea of an Indiana Jones game. There hasn't been one in a long time, and so that is intriguing to me. The Lucas, LucasArts or Lucasfilm, whatever it's called now. I think what that means is that they, after the absolute just cluster that was Battlefront 2, and just all the bad optics that EA gave them, I think that might indicate that Star Wars has decided they're going to take a much greater role in how these games are developed and not just about approving the various lore,
Yeah. Hopefully. I hope that's where that's going, and they're reaching out to people. Moody, what about you? What is your thoughts on the Indiana Jones
It
game?
needs lots of snakes.
on a plane.
I mean, they're the first to do it. Raiders. In the
True.
first 10 minutes, there was a snake on a plane.
Yeah, that would be a fun opening. I mean, that's a video game sequence right there. So that'd be tremendous. Like that, there's your first person part that you're okay
Oh
with.
jeez.
But then when you get down, that's how they should troll everyone. Your first person on the plane, snakes. Oh no, what is this game? First person. Then when you land, here's Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. We're Uncharted now.
You know what they could do, and I still don't think it would be advisable. Like, I still think Indiana Jones has got to really be third person kind of all the way through. But what they actually could kind of get away with is something out of almost like the last couple Deus Ex games, where it's first person, but then if you're in a cover shooter, it pulls back into a third person view. I could actually see them doing that, and that possibly
Vehicle
working.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Traversing could be first person.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But it would be tough to do an Uncharted like climbing platformer in a first person view. I think that'd be a mess.
No, hell no. I would not want to do that.
Because then it would remind me of Mirror's Edge or something. Like, that's a little too much.
Or Doom Eternal with all their platforming segments that went over oh so well.
We don't have time, but I will defend those segments on some other thing. I love Doom Eternal. I just
great game, but I mean those issues were things people had problems with.
I won't argue that people had problems with it, and that's the audience is the biggest voice that you should listen to. They did do that little flashback at the beginning of the Last Crusade of Indiana Jones' third movie, where he was recast as a young dude, and they had that series of young Indiana Jones. So maybe they could do like a younger Indiana Jones and like just not have to worry about being so close to Harrison Ford because they've done it in the past before. So I don't know.
Audiences want to see Harrison Ford in the hat, though. I think that would be you could do it, but I think there would be a backlash if it doesn't at least look like him.
Is it a double-edged sword though? Once they see it and there's like the uncanny valley, like are people gonna accept that? Like that's.
I don't know.
I
Look
think
at the
they
2009 game. Take him took up the 2009, the last one they did, and you'll be like, no, we really do need a really good lookalike of Harrison Ford.
Oh, really?
It was like old school Tomb Raider like polygon stuff. Because there's a PlayStation 2 title, I think.
I remember this.
Yeah.
I actually do remember this. There's like a cool brawling system. Actually, they had like good blocks and stuff. Did y'all play Fate of Atlantis, the LucasArts adventure game? Really good story.
Heard it was good.
Really fucking good story. Really good. But that was just like a point and click adventure. So, and then like they had like an Indiana Jones sound alike, but like back in the day, like no one did voiceover anyway, so it was just amazing that we had voice, so it was really cool. But let's move on to something we know a little bit just as much about. The day after that, we got another fucking announcement that Ubisoft and Lucasfilm are partnering together to do a story-driven Star Wars games from Massive Entertainment, the studio that did the Division games, and they will be using the Snowdrop engine from those that were in the Division games, but also in South Park, The Fractured But Whole, Starlink, which is like never played, but a lot of people say the Star Fox version of that on Switch was actually pretty fun, and Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So Ubisoft Star Wars, is this what we've been asking for? What do you guys think?
I think with the open world, I mean, that's Ubisoft is the company we think about with Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs and stuff. I think they got the right people there. Also, they promise narrative driven. A lot of people are scared because of the Division. They think it's going to be kind of like an MMO
Yeah.
A game of service.
They said they're not doing that. They're doing something completely different than the Division, but they're going to use kind of the snow. Is it Snowdrop or Snowdrip? Was it Snowdrop?
Snowdrop engine.
Yeah.
It's a good engine.
Snowdrop engine as a base, but they said because of they haven't really been able to use it on the new consoles, that we're going to finally see the grace of this engine that you haven't seen on PS4 and Xbox One. So on the stuff that we got now with the Star Wars game, we're going to really see what the power is behind the Snowdrop engine. So
do we know yet if these games are going to be on last gen systems as well as current gen, or if they're going to be current gen exclusive? Has that been said one way or the other?
Hasn't been said, but my guess would be no. As far
I would
as
assume
how early these are announced and like how early they are in development, if they even are. I think they'll get to a point where like we're just past doing
probably
the 2-gen thing.
Well, don't they have to wait 2 years for EA's to
2023? Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not going to PS4 by then?
No,
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
Sony doesn't care. Xbox was the only one holding out for 2 years.
Yeah,
That's
right.
22, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think God of War is going to be only PS5, so and that's the end of this year. Maybe.
Gotham Knights might be one of the last major ones that kind of splits the difference there. But what do you guys think about the situation with EA and whether like Lucas just finally had enough of them and got pissed, and or like the deal with EA and exclusivity, just kind of what's your thought process on all of that and how that went down?
I remember there was a Disney backlash when Battlefront 2 came out, and like they made the news and they were pissed off.
Disney called them and was like, fix this now.
It was a big backlash. That's one of the few times that the community has gotten riled up so hard they took Reddit and like basically forced the developer's hand, the publisher's hand, to fix it.
Yeah.
Not just be like, oh, we heard you. It was like, whoa, okay, shit, board meeting. Like we got problems.
Play supremacy in the age of rebellion. Dive into the large conflicts and fight for dominance on Scarif, Hoth, Death Star 2.
And at first they barely fixed it. They just took out the microtransactions, but the leveling wasn't that great. But to be fair, like you were saying, Dave, do you still play this? Because it sounded like you do. It got really good.
It's a great game. The whole show, and then he still plays the game.
It's good now. Battlefront 2 is good now.
Yeah, it's still got some bugs that they never quite ironed out because DICE. But no, it's fun. They added a ton of stuff to it. They fixed the entire progression system. Like they put in work to really make that game something good, like even like a couple years after release. So if you get a chance to play it and you like first person shooters or you like just like Star Wars, like I totally recommend. If you haven't checked it out, you really should. It really is I think very worthy of the Star Wars license, but it took hell and back to get it there because of what EA was attempting to do initially. And I do think that backlash played a role in them losing exclusivity before they were originally possibly scheduled to.
They must be thanking CD Projekt Red for like now being not the worst fucking launch ever.
Like everyone forgot how bad we were.
Well, except now they're like, okay, now you have to now. Except now people are using Battlefront 2 and No Man's Sky as the examples of like this is what you now need to do.
Yeah, half bake a launch and then make it better later. Hopefully not. I mean, we we don't
Anthem?
know. Maybe Anthem. I don't know. We'll see.
No way.
Cyberpunk is at least a better game than Anthem, even bugs and stuff aside. Like, assuming you can play it without a brick in your system.
I would say Cyberpunk was worse in terms of out of the gate bugs and issues than Anthem.
Sure, absolutely.
Content,
definitely.
It was already
Content wise,
it was like a reverse issue.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Patrick, we didn't talk about it since we did our video, but I finished Cyberpunk and 1.5 times already. And I actually like that game.
I love it.
Really
it's just it's got problems, but I love what's there.
It's a shame it's fucking fucked right now, but we'll see.
I just sold my jacket from E3. So
I
remember how they were giving those free jackets at E3 to some press like IGN people, and I went to that booth 3 times and begged them. It was a slick looking jacket, and and they were like, yeah, we're very limited, blah blah blah. And then I went on eBay and paid $220 for the freaking jacket. And people were selling them for they were getting them for free from E3 and then putting them on eBay for $300-400.
Of course
so
they were.
$220, I was like, okay, And then, yeah, I mean, the game came out. I didn't even get it. I'm like, I can't go anywhere anyway. I'm shut down in LA. I'm like, what do I need a jacket for? I'm in the house all the time. So someone bought it for me for $260 on Macari. So,
Hey.
Damn.
well, after fees, I get my $220 back.
Oh, okay, well,
Oh, okay.
I get my money back, but times are hard right now. So I was like, I'll take $220 right now while I'm just sitting around. So
Well, you could wear the jacket while you're flying the ship behind you, Travis.
good point.
I know. Hurry up. We're gonna destroy the Death Star, man. We need help. Did y'all play the Division 2? You guys have thoughts on
I did.
Massive Entertainment?
I like the Division games quite a bit.
I liked it too. I think especially too, like they released a lot of content for free. It felt good to play, like all the way out. That whole tier system was really good. What do you think they could bring into this game though? Like besides Patrick, what do you think Massive's bringing? Besides, I mean, they're not going to do a games of service, but what do you think the studio could bring to a Star Wars game?
I mean, so it's interesting because the Division games there's definitely not a lot out there like them. They definitely did their own kind of thing, which is really good. I honestly think it's a good platform for Star Wars. I think they could do something with that. Like the way that the Division games work, I think you could do something with Star Wars. My issue is what path they're going to go, whether it's going to be, oh, I'm a Jedi again. Yay. Like, is that what they're going to do again? Or are we finally going to get something like someone brought up, what about if they did a Star Wars game like they did Battlefront 2, which I loved the story up until they fucking said, oh, you went to the rebel side. No, I wanted to see a stormtrooper all the way through the end.
Yeah.
I was so pissed because they ramped that up so good in their presentation for that. And I went to that one at Celebration and I was hyped. And then I get the game and like, what the crap? But I heard someone I talked to was like, I wish they would do that, but from the clone troopers' point of view.
Oh,
That would be really solid. I'm like, that's actually pretty good. And they wouldn't have to do the switch side and disappoint people. Like it would literally
right
just be a
now-
clone trooper view. Why not?
Yeah, right now people are going crazy over that. We just talked about it for like a half hour before we went on the show, like how popular the Clone Wars is again because of the new episode, Ahsoka Tano being in Mandalorian. Like people are going crazy over the Star Wars Hasbro figures, Hot Toys. People are going crazy over Rex and Cody, and they're so sought out after. And yeah, they're hot. The property is hot right now. Why not do a game centered on Clone Wars? But from that, forget the Anakin and Obi-Wan and stuff. Like, yeah,
skip it.
Can you imagine? What about if it's an open? What if it's an open world Mandalorian game?
oh shit!
I could see.
I would be all in on that.
We're already here. Last question. I was gonna ask you guys, what studio would you want to work on since EA doesn't have exclusivity anymore? What studio, publisher, whatever, would you want to make an adaptation of any Lucas movie, Star Wars or whatever? Yeah, Moody.
Right here, my son needs
Grogu?
to be Nintendo Smash.
Google.
Baby
Grogu
Yoda.
and Smash?
Or Mario Kart. We need Baby Yoda there. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
And his little pod that he goes around with?
Baby Yoda versus Donkey Kong.
Floats.
Let's do it. And it floats.
Moody, you're a platformer guy now. What about a Grogu platformer? Physics-based? Jumps around on little platforms?
When dude can float, that kind of negates the purpose of platforms.
That's true. That is true.
It's like, this is the easiest game ever.
No, but what
Roll
I really
credits.
want, though.
But he gets
what I
tired,
really
though. He
want
gets a little
is this.
sleepy, so there's a cooldown on that.
He just
Oh,
disappears.
Oh, wow. The Mandalorian tech has camouflage now. They become dangerous.
Oh,
Boba
no
Fett-
head that small has a cloaking device.
Oh, man, that's
A
great.
Boba Fett game by Rockstar. Or Rocksteady. Yeah, let's get it. A Boba Fett. They're doing the Book of Boba Fett. That's the next show.
Yeah?
Maybe something centered on him, and then that could even tie in with Mandalorians as well. But yeah, they need to hit that. Like Patrick said, we've seen the Jedi stuff a gazillion times, and they did so well with Jedi Fallen Order, and they're coming out with a sequel. EA's still in this game, regardless of losing exclusivity. They're still Respawn still at it. So let's do other stuff. And then they're doing that whole High Republic thing, which is all Jedi, and they're coming out with a show. But that could be down the line. That could be down. Like let's. That's when you can revisit the Jedi stuff and not have to delve back into the original trilogy again. So I think for now, right now, Mandalorians and clones are hot. Go with that.
Go with the Division style already and make it the Bad Batch.
Ooh.
It's a shooter. So you're all set. Yeah.
I think it'd be perfect. That's already that's a current thing, and it's not done or through. It's a starting up thing, and people, if you've watched the Clone Wars, you know it.
And the
So, I
the
think
show's
that's the
coming
perfect
out.
deal to go through with it.
They just announced the show on Disney Plus, The Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave,
it's getting popular.
Dave,
People are taken to that.
what's your dream project, Dave, for any of these?
Well, first, I say I do think it's interesting that because EA had an open world Star Wars game in development that they then canceled. So I think it's interesting now that
13,
Ubisoft
14, right?
has,
Mm-hmm.
that Ubisoft has now picked up that sword. And I think Ubisoft, I mean, they're good at open world games. The problem is so many of their open world games are so incredibly similar to each other. Division is a little bit different. Like I wouldn't say Division is like Assassin's Creed, for example, or something like that. So I'm intrigued about that. My big thing with an open world game is I hope it's multiple planets as opposed to open world like on one planet, because that just seems so limiting for something like Star Wars, right?
So you thinking about a Mass Effect kind of game, maybe for Star Wars?
Yeah, or like if Rockstar did an open world. I would have more faith in a Rockstar open world Star Wars than an Ubisoft one.
What
frankly.
city? Grand Theft Auto Cloud City? What do you think?
Interplanetary, man. Start on
Interplanetary?
Coruscant, and then go from there. Like you could have your pick of starting like as Jedi or like a smuggler or like whatever, and then like go on various have a life path that you could choose as a Jedi, smuggler, stormtrooper,
And then
whatever.
Disney will give you the ending they want, regardless, in true BioWare fashion.
So I'm fascinated by the idea of an open world Star Wars game if it really does give you the freedom to go to like say multiple planets, which Fallen Order does to its credit. I think that type of genre for Star Wars has not really been done before, and I'm very intrigued to do it. I would rather have Rockstar do it than Ubisoft, but I'm definitely very intrigued by Ubisoft taking that up.
Speaking of that, though, I do want the Old Republic remastered. And now with, they're working on Mass Effect Trilogy right now. So maybe if they got a separate team that's working on that and they want to go after, like, we need a remake or a remaster of Old Republic because it's popular. They reissued the toys and people didn't get to play. It was on PC and the original Xbox. So
You'd lead up to High Republic.
It would definitely have to be a remake though, because that thing is too. We've talked about this before, but that remastering it would be like way too dated. I feel like because that was
it'd be it'd have to be a ground up. It'd have to be a ground up remake.
Yeah, remake.
I personally would love to see like as far as like I'm kind of with Dave. I want to see like what IOI is doing and what they're gonna do with the James Bond and what they've been doing with Hitman, mixed in with like some of the Cyberpunk stuff. But I want to see like a Cassian Andor or any like Rebel intelligence spy or Imperial spy.
Cool.
I want to see that in like a kind of like a city environment. Like maybe not like all Grand Theft Auto because I want it to be more visceral and like stuff. But you guys remember Arkham Asylum? Like there's like a huge map, but you could only go to one place at a time, like a Metroid kind of game. I think that would be really cool, like maybe in Coruscant with like a rebel spy or something where you're like James Bonding in a Star Wars thing, and then you get to do the thing that Hayden Christensen did in Attack of the Clones where he jumps off of a building and onto like a flying speeder or whatever. You have moments like that. That'd be really fun. I think. I don't know. But I would also just like the games that we have better. Like Fallen Order, but longer and more money into it. Battlefront, but like just like number 2 back in the day, but with the new graphics and Squadrons, but taken seriously.
Shout out to Squadrons because we haven't mentioned that one, and that one was great for what it was. And it's same thing where I wish they put more development money into it. But what's the interesting thing with EA is how they just don't seem to understand what their own audience wants. Like they were like, people don't want, first person stories or whatever. And then Respawn, does Fallen Order and it like does gangbusters. And then like Squadrons, we're not going to do any support for Squadrons after it comes out. People love it and want more content.
We're begging for it to be optimized on PS5 and Xbox.
Yeah, exactly, Moody. Yeah, exactly. Like we want it to be like, how about a new Squadrons game on the new consoles? And like, it's a little bit more, like it's a little
new
bit
maps.
Like, yeah, new maps, exactly.
Because
what
they got is great.
More modes. Yeah.
But it seems like they really underestimated, like as far as I know, I don't follow sales figures. You guys might know that better than I would, but like I believe Squadrons sold very well. I think. You know, and it's weird how EA just like doesn't seem to understand what their own audience wants. But this isn't new to Star Wars. I remember back in the day when they first got the exclusivity to, I forget if it was NFL or NBA first, but I remember we're like, you know, every year there'd be multiple like NBA games or NFL games from different, and then EA started buying up exclusivity, and everyone was like, this is going to screw the industry because the games are going to get worse. And that's exactly what happened. And, you know, we saw that with Star Wars with the initial Battlefront controversies and stuff. And now that it's opening up, all of a sudden the games are getting better. Go figure.
You guys want a Battlefront 3?
No.
From this team, like,
and that sounds weird, but it's just because Battlefront 2 has been actually brought back around. And what do you do? What's the next thing you do?
Yeah, they've done everything kind of with that, I think, already, unless you totally reinvented it somehow.
If they did a campaign, I'd be okay with that. I don't want to see another multiplayer because as much as I enjoy Battlefront 2's multiplayer, just keep continuing Battlefront 2, like keep adding to it. It still looks really good. Just add more content as we go.
Yeah, maybe do
content. I mean,
maybe do like a PS5, Xbox Series X, like new next gen edition with everything that you've put in so far, like a crazy relaunch, and then add like a DLC campaign, like a new campaign to it to do it.
I agree. Yeah, I love that.
And then have Dave Beaudrie on the commercials for it.
I am open if you would like. If you need a character, I love you, EA. I would be all about. I would be all about.
I have to say, so in terms of games, we that like of games I wouldn't mind seeing, and it's gonna be the unpopular one, and I know someone's gonna comment to be like or something like that, but
this is the best build up ever though.
What is it?
So they've already done this in Downtown Disney. Is they have the VR things. Why not give us the actual freaking games in VR form in PSVR? There's 10 different headsets out there. You've got the Quest 1 and 2, and Quest 2 is selling really well. You got PSVR, which they could just, make the thing work with PS5 the right way. Boom. I mean, imagine being able to play it from the Clone Trooper or Stormtrooper or whatever point of view, and that's your battle forward. No
that's
Jedi
Squadrons.
stuff. Just again, give us the same thing.
Yeah,
Squadrons, does really well in VR. That like a lot of people say VR is not overly sold. Like no one really plays it. It's 2% of the market, whatever. But I think I don't remember the last estimate, but I remember in November, by the end of November, they said 15% of the player base was playing it in VR, which is huge for a game. When it's only no Xbox. Remember, you're counting the fact that Xbox has no VR at all.
I think that was a mistake on Xbox's fault. On Xbox's part to not have VR in any way connected to their new platform. I think that was a big error.
But maybe in the
whole platform didn't even have VR as an option. And still, of all the combination of platforms, 15% of it was in VR. That's really good.
Did the numbers?
That's what I would love to see is something like Stormtrooper, Clone Trooper, like a soldier point of view. Even Rebel soldiers in a VR format would be amazing.
Like Half-Life Alyx in the Star Wars universe.
I was about to say, did Half-Life Alyx like boost up the sales for VR at all? Because
I think it did.
Even I really want to play Half-Life Alyx. That seems
the
amazing.
Index came out and it's expensive as hell, and the wait list is long, and people are still clamoring to get that system.
Yeah,
it's just that good.
Hey Dave, can we get a Soul Calibur type game? But with Star Wars, like lightsabers and creatures, and
do you guys?
They did this once.
I mean, did
you guys play Star Wars Masters of Terrakasi on PlayStation
Jedi
1?
Power Battles.
Oh, that too. But they made like a Tekken kind of ripoff called Star Wars Masters of Terrakasi on PlayStation 1.
Oh yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, they did
bad.
one.
It wasn't bad. 10-year-old me really says that's a 5 Bible game. Especially if you don't buy it and just rent it from Hollywood Video down the street.
R2's even looking at you behind you like, what?
I mean, that would be cool. I would be.
A Star Wars fighting game that would totally work.
That was the one. I was thinking Power Bells. Power Bells is different. Yeah, it's the Terrakasi one. I remember seeing that. It looks like what was the VR fight or the fighters one? Old Sega fighters.
Virtual Fighter?
Virtual Fighter, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's like one step above Virtual Fighter, basically. It's
Knights of Terrakasi remastered.
Yes, there we go.
Wait, Moody, you're the fighting game guy. What fighting game studio would you want to see do a Star Wars game?
Oh,
NetherRealms.
Duh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No. Fuck, it slipped my mind. The ones that do Guilty Gear and Dragon Ball Z and
Arc System?
Arc Systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, they would make a great fighting game, but it would be for the fighting game community, though, right? They don't really make accessible games.
No, that's true.
But I would want to see that anime Star Wars. That would be pretty crazy.
I mean, I could see the Tekken team doing a good job with something like that too.
Yeah,
the various
style.
Wait, who does?
My only fighting I like is Mortal Kombat, honestly. All the rest are like massive mega combos, and you're just like, oh, you started the game with the first punch, I lose, put the controller down, why bother? I can't, I hate, like, I used to be, like, love the Dead or Alive series, and then it just became, like, oh, look, you got the first combo, game over, I'll just sit here while you finish.
Well, now they're a bikini simulator, so that's what Dead or Alive is now.
Well, why do you think he got into the Dead or Alive series? He's like, yep, I'm just going to put this controller down and wait while you finish.
He's like, oh, look, I unlocked the new skin swimsuit. Take a look at that.
Bandai Namco doing Star Wars. That's crazy.
Those games are made on the Jiggle engine.
No, seriously, they are. Wait, what about the Soul Calibur guys? They have weapons in their stuff.
That'd be a great fit. That'd be a great fit. Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be number one. Yeah.
Or even For Honor-ish with lightsabers. I don't know.
Nah.
For Honor now or For Honor when it came out?
I have no idea what For Honor was like.
It was horrible
like
in the
now.
beginning. It was terrible.
If there was going to be a Star Wars fighting game, though, I wouldn't want it to be strictly lightsabers. I would want there to be some sort of
the
method for blasters and creatures and stuff too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that would be something that NetherRealm would be better at, but also Tekken, the Tekken team could do something with that as well. But I would want it to be more all inclusive as opposed to just lightsabers, which I think would just be too limiting. Yeah.
Maybe the guys who did Def Jam Fight for New York, and it's like more of an arena thing. Or
if they're gonna do that, remake Def Jam Fight for New York. I'm still waiting to be able to fucking play that game again. That game is great,
dude. You ever play Wu-Tang Shaolin style? The one that came right before that?
No.
It's just the same thing. Wu-Tang guys in a 4-player arena fighting. It's pretty fun. Well, that's it for our Star Wars games. We had a lot of content for basically announcements that didn't say that much. To just give us publishers and engines. But I know this crew would give us some good ideas for some fan theories and stuff of what we'd want to see. Hit us up on Geekdom Gamescast on the Facebook group and let us know what you would want to see from who, like what kind of Star Wars or Indiana Jones or whatever Lucas has. Red Tails, right? That's a Lucasfilm thing. You know that one about the Tuskegee Airmen. Do you want to see basically Ace Combat but with only black guys? That'd be cool, right?
Howard the Duck in VR.
Howard the Duck. Ooh.
That's like a Marvel Universe thing now, though, I think, because he's in Guardians, so I think that's...
Oh, yeah,
I don't know
that's
if
true.
that would translate well in VR because then you would be seeing Howard the Duck. You'd just be the duck.
Maybe you're the sexy lady that...
the third-person view.
What if you're the sexy lady that
is
what if you're the sexy lady that is romanticized or being wooed by Howard the Duck?
Then you can't see the sexy lady.
Yeah. Now you need to be Howard the Duck.
You guys are killing me.
Well, thank you, Dave, for coming on the show. You have a podcast yourself. You want to talk about it?
I do. It is called One Day Closer to Dead, and it's with co-host Jason Bailey. It's weekly. We're on iTunes, Spotify. We talk about current events. We talk about pro wrestling. We talk about pop culture, anything else that comes to mind. One Day Closer to Dead. I am there every week, and you can download the latest episode now.
It's the most true podcast title I've ever heard. Patrick, sir, you're still streaming. You want to shout that out real quick?
In about 10 minutes now. Quite literally. Yeah, twitch.tv/VG_trooper.
Cool. Yeah. And then Moody, you're in Tokyo still, right? You're one of the Yakuza now. You're not really into media. You're literally in a gang.
In his heart. In his heart.
Got 70 hours. I got 2 more chapters left. Yakuza Like a Dragon, almost there.
And you could also find him on Toy Kind of Mood and wrestling stuff now, right?
And Ringside Apostles, we just debuted. We had our 2nd episode, so maybe we'll have to have Dave on for a wrestling video game show. We'll cross over with Geekdom Gamescast.
Oh, nice.
I'd be all about that. And then also, you can also find me on Job Guys on Amazon Prime television show. Right. That was reviewed by God Hates Geeks. Much appreciated.
Yep. Did you review it?
I didn't review it. That'd be a massive
Sean,
conflict of
Sean.
interest.
John Farrell.
But so yeah, you can find him on Job Guys on Amazon Prime as well.
Oh, so we'll have to have Sean and you on a wrestling show because he's the one who reviewed your show.
Cool. I'd be all about it. Why not?
Nice.
Even though he gave it one Bible, you'll have him on.
He is lying, folks. If you want to read the review yourself or watch the show, never take anything Travis says seriously, because God knows I don't.
Exactly.
And I'm also at the Geekdom Fancast. It's a podcast also wherever podcasts are found. We recently talked about Wonder Woman 84, and one of the screenwriters is working on that Mortal Kombat thing. So maybe go there and listen to what we have to say about that. And just follow the Geekdom Gamescast on YouTube, on all the stuff. We have links in the notes and stuff down below. And until next time, may the Force be with you. Bye.